It's been a minute, hasn't it? Hello everyone, AnomalousDucky here. This is the third version of this video you're watching, as I've recorded this twice in one day, revising the script each time as I felt that not only did you all deserve better, but I had more to say. I mean, I'm recording this audio in a closet to avoid any distractions, would you believe it? But yes, after a year of silence, here is a belated update video about what's happened since my hibernation. This past year, my friends have encouraged me to return to YouTube. Additionally, I've seen a few concerned commenters wondering if I'm okay and others pleading for my return. And yes, to calm your worries, I'm doing fine. More than fine, even, but I will elaborate upon that later. Firstly, I want to cite Epikrika, a fellow Roblox YouTuber whose content I tried to mirror in this channel's earliest days and perhaps my most major inspiration, and his new and unfortunately final video titled The End of Epikrika for motivating me to finally emerge from hiding. In short, they've announced their departure from YouTube, a decision I respect greatly as a fellow content creator, and their words reflected on many of my own personal feelings and experiences with this site. I will leave a link to their video in the description, and I encourage you viewers to check out their content if it's Roblox videos with high production value you desire. Now, with Rika's video serving as the boiling point that led to the creation of this video, I'm going to explain my situation. Life has been much simpler and tranquil since my silent departure from YouTube. That is not to say that any of the fans are at fault for any earlier grievances or misfortunes I may have had. No, of course not. Because, in truth, I'm forever grateful for my fans, whether you've been here in the long term since the days of my old channel or only familiar with my AnomalousDucky label I adopted in 2019. And yes, to those who don't know, I had a channel before AnomalousDucky called Mr. Pikminator that I ran from 2013 to 2019, which accumulated around 35,000 subscribers. So, thank you all so much for making AnomalousDucky, and in the grander scheme, that aforesaid Mr. Pikminator channel, as much an adventure as it was an enterprise. Though I tend to look back on this part of my life negatively and try to forget aspects of it, with cringe culture and all that, I can't deny that it truly impacted me for the better. Without it, I wouldn't have made many, if not all, of my online friends, nor would my childhood have been as grand. Hell, my entire childhood is basically broadcasted on this site and then some. But I mustn't go on a tangent as there's just too much history concerning all my time here on this site. So to put it simply, I've moved on to greener pastures, I'm afraid. So I apologize if you saw this video pop up and excitedly clicked it, hoping I would return to making content regularly. I'm not ready to make an official decision to come back nor commit to it, so I won't be making any promises with this video. I hate to disappoint, but as I said prior, my friends have been encouraging me to become a YouTuber again, an idea I've entertained with much consideration, so take that for what you will. And also, I want you, the viewer, to consider how long I've been doing this. I hope this doesn't come off as pretentious, but I'm ancient. I've been a YouTuber since late 2013 when I was a mere 7 years old, my content evolving alongside me as I grew up. From playing with toys to gameplays and into reviews in the AnomalousDucky era, it almost feels like I've done everything at this point. Still, that doesn't make this sentiment of mine any less potent. To everyone who helped cultivate a great childhood for me by supporting me back in those days, simple words cannot communicate how thankful I am for you. As for those who tuned into my live streams and videos with friends here on AnomalousDucky, I also am ever thankful for you, as this channel was a new medium for me to make content oriented around good times with my friends, and videos with more thought and time put into them. I hope you enjoyed me and my friends' escapades as much as we enjoyed spending time together and having fun, because being AnomalousDucky was an experience I'll never forget. Though the channel's origins are melancholic, having been created because YouTube neutered Mr. Pikminator by disabling comments, and me simply wanting to reboot my presence on the internet, which could have been seen as me abandoning my old fans in retrospect, I'm glad the experience was nevertheless positive. So, as for where I stand. Well, I'm in a far greater position than I once was. I'm far more content than I once was, too. Though a little over a year doesn't seem to be too long, for me, I've underwent a complete transformation within that time. I made new friends, lost some, and got even closer to those I can thankfully still call friends. I did very well this school year in terms of grades and evolved as a person overall. Of course, as with anything of this nature, there are certain things I will not disclose due to them being personal. But I can tell you that I consider now, at 16 years of age, to be the apex of my life. The time of my life, so to speak. I've conquered a few habits such as biting my nails and other somewhat insignificant things such as that, but there is no doubt that I still have a few misfortunes. For starters, let me just say that I despise this website with a passion. Yes, I hate YouTube. I'm not even referring to their outrageous decisions like removing comments, the broken copyright system, or them being complacent with the various perverts uploading sex fetish content to YouTube Kids and hypnotizing the next generation either. Believe me, I hate that, as should any user of this site, but that is an inherently different topic I will not delve on in this video. No, what I mean is that I simply hate being on this website so often. It's to the point that almost all of my days are spent just watching videos, half of which I will click off of halfway through due to my short attention span. This has to do with me wanting to be more active, and so to alleviate it, I've gone outside more and frequented other forms of entertainment, mainly reading. Speaking of, I've also gotten serious about writing as a hobby thanks to a recent project of mine. Remember what I said about my attention span being short? Well, this is also to the detriment of a few personal projects I've started since my hiatus here on YouTube. Few of you may remember 2 videos I made on a Hearts of Iron 4 mod called Hearts of Randomnautica, both of which are privated now. Well, this is what I was working on, but I privated them both as I rebooted the project and it took an entirely different turn. My videos weren't representative of what the mod had become, hence their privatization. Previously, it was just a massive crossover of a multitude of random shows, games, etc. However, sometime in the later half of 2021, I rebooted it and began working on Corporageddon, which featured its own custom world map and characters made in Roblox, as well as tons of lore. I fell in love with my own story and characters so much that there was rarely a day where I didn't think about them. Yet, everything came to a halt near Christmas when I got my new computer. I was so passionate about it before, but now, it hasn't been touched since February of this year. Frankly, I'm nostalgic for my own creation, but I can never find myself seeing a project completion, especially not this one, as this perfectionist sort of thing kept happening. Basically, I'd rewrite entire sections of lore over and over again until I felt like I achieved perfection. If even a sentence felt not up to standards, the whole thing would be sent back to the drawing board. I'm convinced it's an ADHD thing of sorts, but I can't be sure. All I know is that the project is dead at this point, 6 feet under. But hey, maybe it piques you viewers' intrigue. My interest in reviving it may be gauged and I can see it to completion. God, how would I love that? But it'd be a major undertaking to get it finished before Hearts of Iron 5 comes out. Well, back to where I was, the YouTube situation. There is no particular day I can pinpoint where AnomalousDucky died. Rather, it was a slow, painless, and at first, unnoticeable death. My motivation to continue ceased to be in the coming months after uploading my last Rise of Nations video on New Year's of 2021. Rise of Nations, being the metaphorical heart that pumped blood to this channel, was a game I enjoyed playing greatly, and it was the one that raked in the most views. Now, that statement makes me seem like I was just playing it for views, which is untrue. It was a fun game, and I was ecstatic that I could find a game popular among my fanbase that both I, the content creator, and you all, the viewers, enjoyed. Previously, the story had been different, where I just play indie horror games that were popular at the time. The only 2 back then I enjoyed were Hello Neighbor and Baldi's Basics, but as for the rest, I was simply playing them because I knew they would get me views. In layman's terms, a game like Rise of Nations that is both enjoyable to me and those who watch me play it was something I was yearning for. But, alas, I got burnt out. As we speak, Rise of Nations has not received a major update since November of last year, and Roblox says it hasn't been touched since February of this year. The game is virtually the same as we left it. And when the nuke update came out, I planned to make a video on it, but after seeing how time-consuming it was to actually acquire nukes, I shelved the idea. With me focusing on family matters and talking to friends more often, maintaining this channel quickly became less and less of a priority. In a way, I forgot, but not literally, of course, because the story of AnomalousDucky would come up sporadically in conversations following my silent hiatus from YouTube. It's just that I had no real attraction to the idea of making another upload after me and my friends got bored of Rise of Nations, as we'd walk the tightrope of diplomacy in the game, so to speak, avoiding conflict whenever. For this reason, I think my Rise of Nations content may have not been as interesting, because no wars against other players were featured, at least not to my recollection. Nevertheless, the sense of community kept me going, as other Rise of Nations YouTubers would leave supportive comments on my videos, and I've even mentioned some of theirs. This motivated me to keep going, but even then, I still ran out of gas and the engine came to an abrupt halt. I delivered a Christmas gift to my old fanbase in the form of a promise that I would turn to Hello Neighbor content at the time, too, only to never update them and actually begin making that series. And to those I disappointed with that, I deeply apologize that I didn't deliver like I said I would back on Christmas of 2020. Truthfully, I always liked Hello Neighbor, and it wasn't a game I merely played for views back then, as I stated prior. But that's a wrap. That's how the story of AnomalousDucky ended. Until now, that is. And that leaves me with this. If there's any takeaway from this video you should make, it's that I apologize for not giving a formal farewell to you all and leaving you in the dark for over a year. This video is the culmination of that year, where there was build-up in which I slowly regained motivation to upload. Though I'm going to restate that I'm not making any promises of returning, I suppose what I do from here on out depends on how well this video is received and if it makes people happy to hear my voice again. And with I myself growing tired of hiding in the shadows, perhaps I may take steps to make this summer better for all of us. AnomalousDucky, out.